so oftentimes when we're starting one of these events, hang on, Mike, hold on. Oftentimes when we're starting one of these events, people are like, I don't want to go first, so I'm going first. Nobody else will complain. That's like your parents saying, stop your bitching. Anyway. Ready, Mike? Roll. I'm Dan Terpstra. If you've been to any of these events before, you probably think I have a colorful life. If you're friends with my wife on Facebook, you probably think I have a colorful life. Yeah. Freudian. Anyway, this all kind of happened on September 25th, 2009. I want to tell a little bit of the story about what happened this day. It's a crazy day, but I think it's partly to do with who I am. First of all, when I started my first 35 years of my life, I was sort of an alcohol hater. That has something to do with the past, but it was sort of like, I don't know, I was just anti. And on this day, I kind of went from alcohol hater to wine ambassador or an evangelist, maybe from misconceptions to snobbish connections. It all started, put my nose down. It all started at Noto's. I was doing a photo shoot for these guys. We showed up at about 4:45 something in the morning to get a sunrise, so we got the perfect window and everything over it. And if you've ever worked with Italians and you're Dutch, you're always like, come on, hurry. Like, we're always trying to get things done faster, and things went really slow. So after the sun finally rose, we're like, we got to get a shot in the front. Keep in mind, this is 2009 before drones were affordable. Okay, so we had to get 45 feet up into the air to try and take a picture of basically trees, power lines, and air conditioning units on top of the building. Didn't really work out well. It's not my finest hour, but the day kept going, and we started to go inside, and we tried to get some stock photography for the Noto's family. And at some point, again, it was getting a little frustrating, but Tom Noto came out and he's like, hey, would you guys like some lunch? And I was like, yeah, but we didn't want to, make it bad for them or something. So I was like, we'll eat in the back. He's like, no, we'll just go out and have lunch with Joanne and the boys. Joanne being one of the siblings of the Noto's family, she was having a meeting with some winemakers, which I thought was a little bit weird, but they came out and they introduced us to these winemakers, and of course they were like, this is Nicola, and he's like, oh, and this is Jean-Jacques, and this is Robin, and of course Robin turns out to be American after all, and for like 3 years I thought he was British, but it was Robin, and Jean-Jacques, and Nicola. Anyway, we meet these guys, and at some point, if you also know me, I used to be afraid of all sorts of food, everything. And we get to this lunch, and I know nothing about wine, like nothing, and I'm sitting in the middle, and Nicola Briscardo, this winemaker, he looks at me and he goes, so what kind of wine would you like for your lunch? Seriously? So I look and I'm like, well, we have this beef like covered with mushrooms, and I don't eat mushrooms. We have this salad like with bird on it, because it wasn't the bird we know, it was something else. And then I was like, oh, and we have this pasta layered with sauce. Nicola, what would you drink with this lunch? You know Messalina? How do you say, not the king, the king, Queen of the Putanas? Messalina, she's Queen of the Putanas. I'm like, there's a queen? Oh no, excuse me, what's a putana? And Robin goes, prostitute. There's a queen of a prostitute? And he's like, you know how when you go to your favorite prostitute, you feel like everything is like so good. It's like everything feels so right. Like you're like, oh, this is everything's so right. And so you finish up, you wash your face and your hands, and you go and you get on your motor scooter, and you're driving away and you go, I really want some more of that. This is prime. It's a blended primitivo negro amaro. I think you would enjoy. Seriously? Now, I don't drink wine. Red wine is all this gross stuff they serve at the Olive Garden, and it's like the $6.99 glass of pure crap. So I'm stuck here with this dude who's like telling me about prostitute wine, and I'm like, I guess I have to try this. And I take a little sip, and while I'm sipping it, there's people going like, it's witchcraft. And I have no idea why this witchcraft is going on, but I try and taste some of the wine, and it's just absolutely like, wow, that's really good. It's like Kool-Aid, but better. And I asked my assistant, what do you think? And he's like, it's really good. And so they take us through these complex wines, and things get crazier and crazier as time goes on. And because we were total novices, as we got to the fancier wines, we didn't like them as much. Ironically, the last wedding we had was the one that me and my wife were toasting during our wedding celebration there. And that's an Amarone. It's made by Nicola Pescado, Marchese Pescado. And this is part of how my life has changed. I've established all of this relationship with the Noto's family, where we now do weddings with their family all the time, and we got married there. We stood on those steps, and there were no industrial disasters or anything that happened. And this has been like what life had turned into, and I don't know what life would have been without that day where I was helping the Noto's family out, but I can certainly see the color that's been added from it. And certainly I'm holding this wine, and I know the story of Messalina. By the way, this is Messalina. Anyway, so after my wedding with Michelle at Noto's, we had this Italian bug because of Nicola Noto, so we went to Italy, to Trevi Fountain, and we had to hold still for 30 seconds, so I didn't have to blur out, but we'd be still. And then we went to Nicola's dad's place, Nicola's parents' place. They have a villa in Tuscany in Montepulciano, home of Vino Nobile. We went to the Vino Nobile place in Orteglia, where this was our room that we stayed in for 4 days. It had a beautiful hot tub and the old school bidet and whatever. But I didn't take a picture of that. Sorry. But here we are with Nicola's dad, and Nicola's dad brought us to Tuscany to see all this stuff. And strangely enough, we went back in time. We were back at Noto's to show that we're all Italian and stuff. And Nicola brought us to Garo del Lago, which is a beautiful lake, and that's Napoleon's nose because he's laying dead next to the lake after the Italians wanted to kill him. And all of these things happen, I believe, as a result of this day on September 25th, 2009. Now, I can't say who I do today without that, but I think that a lot of what happened that day has colored my life and enriched me in such a way that I ended up marrying this beautiful woman, Michelle. I ended up taking over crazy stuff like PechaKucha night, and my life has gotten colorful, and that's it.